about this little girl that lives in a fringe community somewhere in Louisiana. They're like, sort of off, in the swamps. And it's an interesting movie in a lot of ways. But one of the things that comes into it, she has this weird kind of, not homeschooled, but kind of a community teacher that obviously isn't getting paid by anybody. And that person gives her a lesson on climate change. And she thinks of it, climate change, as though it becomes this kind of metaphor of a monster that has been frozen in the ice, that has been released from the ice. And it's coming all the way from the Arctic to Louisiana to get her. That's kind of, part of the storyline. And so that kind of personification of this threat as a monster. Like I just realized, ever since you first showed me this, I thought of it in a very similar light of just sort of, what is this thing? And that's one way of doing it, is thinking of it as a kind of monster that might hurt you. Or could you become friends with it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and just accept that reality for a little bit, right? Like adapting in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's one of my favorite movies, Beast of the Southern Wild. My wife is like, why don't you watch that? It's so sad. That's a great movie. Yeah.
I put the link on the chat if anybody wants to look at it.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, I guess we can't escape it anymore. We have to talk about a very sad movie.
Yes, we do.
I'm sorry, everybody. It just kept bringing you.
Okay, so should we just start with the initial takes?
Mm-hmm.
So who wants to say what they thought of Minnick?
I'll go. I think I related to this movie because I grew up in a foster home, and so, but I still had connections with my biological family, and my foster family became my family. But as an adult, I don't feel like I'm part of either family. I mean, I feel like I'm part of them, but you feel kind of lost. And so I think I felt like I had like a connection to what he felt. And also, before coming to the Arctic, my husband and I taught in a group home, Boys Ranch in Texas. And we had a lot of adopted kids.
Thank you guys for calling here.
From families in America that went to other countries and adopted children, kept them a few years, and then gave them back not to their country, but somewhere. And somewhere was our group home. And to watch those kids try to deal with the rejection of their biological family and their adopted family. And I had one little girl say, who does that? Who yanks them out of their country and then abandons them here, because they can no longer go back to their country, even though they have a connection to that country, and they don't belong here because the family that brought them here abandoned them here. So I was watching that happen over and over in that situation. Just, it breaks your heart. So I understand why you think this is sad, but it happens, and it's continuing to happen in just another age, So, and so it was kind of twofold. The documentary, the interviewer, highlighted the greed of Peary and his obsessiveness to get and walk over and use anybody to get to his goal, which ultimately he didn't. He knew that when he went on his last attempt to find the North Pole, he faked, he lied about actually getting there, which is not abnormal for the human being. When they know that's their last attempt or last ditch effort, and he was so determined that it was going to be his name that was put on that, or his name that would be put out there, and who was going to tell him, no, you're not lying. I mean, how do you prove that he actually got there or didn't get there in that time frame, other than his word? And then you have the story of the Eskimos who were lied to, obviously, and brought out of their culture and placed in a place that they didn't have any support. They were treated as pretty much experiments or observations by anthropologists, right? And yeah, and their bodies and their mental, especially their bodies, their physical bodies were not able to adjust to the environment that they were placed in, which is really amazing because we were talking about being transplanted, and how your bodies get accustomed physically to the areas that you live in and that you grow up in, and you have an immune system to those certain things, and how the Eskimos could not survive against the diseases in that area, except for the young one. And because of his youth, he was able, in my opinion, to overcome those diseases. But I know
think that they were actually burying his father's bones. the way they wanted and throw them out in the trash when they were done with them.
Bye for now.